Today's lesson is on everyone's least favorite thing, which is math. It's not really math though. I want to show you measuring and marking. The math is kind of a separate issue, but there's an art to reading a tape measure, so that's what I want to show you today. I touched on this in my first video, these miter joints. This piece is a perfect 45, and you can see that it doesn't quite sit where it needs to sit. This piece and the matching piece for it are both cut at 44.6 degrees. And you can see, sorry, I got some glare on my phone from the sun here. You can see that that's a nice looking miter. I think my saw is still set on that. Excuse me, 45.6 degrees. So it's more than 45 and a half, but not by much. Just a tick over 45 and a half degrees. Gets me a nice miter over there. Those are just scrap pieces. This is the piece that will actually be installed. And that fits. It's got a clean miter on both ends there. So, that's the challenge. I'm gonna pause my video because I gotta set up my phone somewhere to where I can not hold it while I record measuring stuff. Anyways, that right there is the challenge, getting that miter at 44.6. 44.5 was still a little sloppy. It's that 0.6 that makes it clean, and you're like, that's really tedious. You know, how much time did you spend on that miter? Not much, honestly. It's the same amount of time as cutting it at 45. It's just a different angle. Like, I can cut it at 17 degrees in the exact same amount of time. The challenge is measuring and marking. So that's what I want to show you guys. Alright, I got my phone rigged up on a clamp here, so hopefully that stays. Can you actually, yeah, you can see. So there's a few different ways to do it. These are all measuring tools here. I got speed squares, combo square, framing square, bevel gauge. These are all measuring tools for angles and stuff. I'm doing my layout with a framing square, just because it's the most accurate square. Generally speaking, the bigger your measuring tool is, the more accurate it's going to be. Like, there's a small speed square, there's a bigger framing square. This bigger framing square is going to be more accurate. And the reason for that is that if I make a small angle, that may appear to be square to me on a small scale. But as I zoom in on that angle may not actually be square. So that's why your larger square is going to be more accurate. You get a better representation of what that line looks like over a longer distance. So I'm doing my layout with a framing square, but I'm figuring out my cuts with a bevel square, or a bevel gauge. Bevel gauge is a pretty handy tool. You got a little thumb nut on there. You just set that. I don't know what this angle is, but I'm just going to copy it onto my bevel gauge, mark that line, and then here's where your speed square comes in. I can take my speed square, there's a pivot point down here. I'll do it this way so you can see it better. There's a pivot point, and that speed square will swing on that corner. So I line up that corner with the corner of my pencil line. Let me get you in here. You can see that. You want that parallel. And then the angle of that mark is going to be on this tick mark on the outside. And that looks like 44 and a half, just a hair over a half. Right? So that's how I'm getting that mark. I guess your other tool would be a tape measure, right? And we all know those. There's all of these tools, with the exception of a combo square. I'm going to come back to that. All of these tools have one flaw in common, which is that they rely on the operator in order to work. In other words, a tape measure does not read itself. It needs a human to read it. So let's say I want to make a mark at 20 inches, right? I'm just going to put a big old scribble on there, right? See a lot of guys making marks with Sharpies and stuff like that. So I do have a pencil mark on 20, but it's also a 1/4 of an inch wide. So I don't really know if that's 19 7/8 or 20 1/8, you know? The other part of the problem there is the perspective that you're looking at. From here, that looks like 20 3/8. But from over here, that looks like 19 3/4. So that's the inherent problem with these measuring and marking tools, is that I've copied an angle from my bevel gauge, right? I've copied that angle. And then when I grab my speed square and I hold it up to there, the inaccuracy happens when my imperfect eye is trying to see what angle that is. And I've got a pretty good eye, but it's human. It's not perfect. So I'm going to read that angle the best I can, but I may not be perfectly precise. Same thing with reading a tape measure or anything like that. So combo square, this is what's cool about this tool, is that it takes the operator out of it. Obviously you can read it as a ruler, but the true purpose of a combo square has a little thumb nut right there. You can loosen that, and I can slide my ruler down until it's physically flat, and then I'm going to lock in my thumb nut right there. So I'm going to zoom in on this for you to see. There's the measurement that I've come up with, right? On a 30-second scale, that looks like 8 and, shoot, I don't know, 8 and 9/16 maybe, or 9 30-seconds, sorry. On a 30-second scale, to my eye, that's what it looks like. But on a 64th scale, it might be 7/64 or something like that. I don't know. That's a pretty fine measurement. The cool thing about a combo square, though, is that I don't actually need to know what that measurement is. I can copy it off of this piece and then transfer that onto another piece without even knowing what that measurement actually is. And so when I line up on my miter saw, I know that I'm just going to cut this pencil line. I'm going to remove that pencil mark, and I'm going to come up with the exact same measurement as this piece. I don't even need to know what it is. I can try and read it if I need to for math purposes, but I actually don't need to know. I can do it blindfolded. Just throw that up there, copy the measurement, come over here, and transfer that measurement onto another piece without even knowing what it is. And then when I line it up on my saw, I'm going to make a cut that matches this perfectly, and it's 5 1/16. I don't know. But I don't need to know it to make a cut. That's what's cool about a combo square, is it takes the operator error out of it. So the next thing I want to show you is tick marks. I'm sure most of you have heard the expression, take the line, leave the line, split the line. So I want to show you what that phrase means, why it's important. I got a mark there, right? And I'm going to show you, actually let me back up. I want to show you how I actually make a mark first.